All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Simple Easy Success Formula, the Simple Easy Success System. This is part two in the Simple Easy Success Formula. Part two is something that most people actually, this is where they start. Many people start here and they never think about the other two parts of the formula. This is the part that everybody probably does. So a lot of what you're going to hear in this is probably stuff you already know. You've done it. You've created a million systems. However, number thing that we're going to talk about in this in systems is get that over there. There we go. Is Simple Easy Success Formula, your system. This is what happens with systems. Most people will create a system. They don't have the assets to go behind it. And number two, they don't have the discipline to keep after it, even when it bombs. Every system that you create and put into action is always going to hit a wall, a failure spot, a down, a disappointment. Label it what you will, it's going to happen. As my good friend Larry Broughton always says, no plan survives contact with the enemy. The best laid out plans never even survive contact with the enemy. And it's always a revamp when you hit the enemy. And in your case, the enemy is getting the sales you want, helping the customers you want, getting the results you want. Most of us all have plans, but when we start to go put in action, the second we take a step in action, we get hit with something to set us back. So simple, easy systems. Taking the worry out of taking care of your customers, your employees, and anything else that troubles you. I know, I just said it can fail, all right, but it's setting it up to try to take the worries out. That's why we did discipline before we did systems, because you got to have the discipline to keep going when the plan bombs, because you want to try to take the troubles out. And basically, when it hits the first wall, that's a place for you to tweak the plan, as we'll talk about it today. Number one, become a student of others' systems. Learn from what others, how they do it, and how they think, how you can use the same idea to create your own systems. I'm going to be honest with you. All right. Well, a lot of my systems, while the content is different, the formula is very similar to that of my coach. I watch my coach do it and I go, I can do that. Now my content's different. The plans and how I help customers is different, but the plan, the system by itself is it's a duplicate of what he does. Follow a successful plan and implement it into your own plan. You know, Russell Brunson said this with ClickFunnels a couple of years ago. He says, you know what I mean? The successful people duplicate success. You find success out there, duplicate it. Well, become a student of what someone else is doing, and you can copy them. You can actually recreate what they are doing with your own content, with your own plan, with the own way to help your customers. Become a student of others. Number two, the system you use is not about you and your product, but it's about your client or prospect and how to solve their problems. Stop talking about you and your product and how great you are and how cool you are and how neat it was that you met actor Dean Cain. And start talking about how what you have can help them get results they want. I talked about it yesterday when I was talking about the idea of basically when I go into an audience of people and some great speaker talks on the air or talks on the stage, and afterwards there's a million people coming. I go, oh, Tim, you're so good. Oh, Lawana, you're so good. Oh, Barry, you were so good. I walk up and literally go, hey, Lawana, I don't know if you're interested, but I got a podcast with about 50,000 subscribers. Would you be interested in being a guest on my podcast? Lawana just heard 50,000 people. And Lawana's thinking, 50,000, there's got to be at least 1,000 there that I don't know. I should get on this podcast and maybe I'll get introduced to that other 1,000 people I don't know. I got an answer for you guys. If Les Brown, you said that to Les Brown, he would go, yeah. I mean, and who doesn't know who Les Brown is? Right? Les Brown's going to go, well, heck yeah. I had Larry Winget on mine. I've had Larry Winget, Guy Kawasaki. If I could have had many more, I would have. I actually reached out one point in time to former President Clinton, President Bill Clinton, and asked him if he'd be on my podcast. He told me no, but I asked. Some of you, all right, are all like, oh, I need to get ready. I need to get the numbers up before I ask. No, I just ask. It's the worst that could happen. They say no. I got a rejection letter from a former U.S. president, ladies and gentlemen. Market that. All because I made it about them and interviewing on my stage. Number 3, make the system simple and easy for your clients and prospects to use to solve their problems. Simple Easy Marketing was born not out of the idea of, hey, make it simple and easy for me to market. Instead, it was, no, make it simple and easy for your prospect, your potential client, to read, observe, click the button, and buy. Make it easy for your client, prospect, reader, the person taking down your content. Make it easy for them to do what you want them to do. Take action. Make it all easy for them to do that. When you make it easy for them, they are going to take action. Instead of making it easy for you and hard for them. Quit making it so hard for them. Number 4, do not base a system on shortcuts, cheats, hacks, sidewinds, stealing, borrowing. Instead, break down your system to a step-by-step process that you could explain to a 3rd grader. One of the people who attended our very first Blog and Video Con, and she's someone who's a great friend of mine, and I've known her for years. She's a very wise doctor who uses homeopathic type ideas to help create cures. Very smart in what she knows and how she knows it. And I explain to people, I'm a common sense guy, all right? My level, if I can use it with this computer screen, is about this level of smarts down here. Her level of smarts is so far up here. She's bypassed, I got to bring that down so you guys can see it. She's bypassed common sense by miles. She doesn't think like me. And every time she tries to explain what she's doing, I'm lost. But when she breaks it down to where dummy 3rd grader mind like Tim Gillette can understand it, boom, I get it every time. That's marketing, ladies and gentlemen. Get it down to where you can do it in a simple, easy step. Make it so easy that a 3rd grader can understand it. When you get it down that far, you will actually see more results. Use your assets to build a system. As you know, new assets improve your system and the process to make it better. Assets, again, what programs do you have? What now, all right, how are you implementing them? What tools now came up, like my case when I was talking about earlier about how I found StreamYard to actually take my program, my system and everything and broadcast it out and save me 3 steps. It improved the process, all for a $25 a month tool. Wow, that's $25 well spent. The previous tool that I was using was $15, but it's also an extra 2 hours out of my time. So I saved 2 hours, all right, and I had to pay $10 more a month. I got news for you. My time's worth a little bit more than $5 an hour. I'm okay with that. So that's when you do. Use your assets to build your system. As you gain new assets, improve your systems and your process and make it better. Number 6, there is no perfect system. Yeah, Tim, but I got to wait till I get it all perfect. My book, I actually moved my book. It was supposed to be back on my desk. My book, this one here, was released, all right, published and put on the market with a mistake into it, a major mistake. But the printing was already done. It was already cured. And I just said, go for it. No perfect system. Because I shared with this, because I actually had someone who was a very critical person who used to be in my mastermind. He's not no more, found the mistake. I said, man, you've got to throw all those books out and reprint it and do it right. He's someone who's been trying to do things perfect for years. Ever since I've known him, he's been trying to do things perfect. Very well known, very broke. I just said, no, I'm going to produce it. As a matter of fact, hey, I got a book for sale, everybody, and there's a mistake into it. If you find a mistake, I'll give you a copy of my next book for free. Sold 5,000 copies. Let me tell you how many people of those 5,000 copies called to tell me about the mistake. And if they would have got a bonus from me if they called and told me if they found the mistake. 5,000. Let me tell you how many called me. 0. No one ever looked for it. But if I'd followed that other friend's advice, I would have thrown away a couple $1,000s worth of products and reprinted it, all because of a mistake. Instead, I used the mistake to my favor because of the fact that I know that there is no such thing as a perfect system. As a matter of fact, I'm surprised. I've only seen one correction I have to do in my slides so far. I am shocked. I'm probably, I'm also not done, so I'll probably find a couple more. Because I usually find 6 to 10 mistakes in my slides every event I do. There's no perfect system, all right? And it's not going to be perfect. Get started, fix it as you go. Best systems are the ones that you lived and learned from. Your experience is the greatest success gift to helping others succeed that you will ever be gifted with. You ever notice those videos where people actually share their heart and then it goes viral and you look at that video and go, well, how can I do that viral video? The most viral video I ever did. And as a matter of fact, I was talking about this lady's or this girl's mom this week with my mom. A couple years ago, I think I did it on Periscope. I don't even think I did it. I think I did it on Periscope and broadcast it out to my Twitter feed and then used it on my other stuff. I just turned the camera on because literally a close friend of mine in a mastermind I'm part of that she used to be part of, that week, her husband basically came home and said, move out. We're getting divorced and my girlfriend's moving in. And my heart broke for her. I also had a meeting that week with somebody who was actually getting to book me for a speaking gig. All right. And I drove out to meet her. And I was on my way back and my mom called me in the truck on the way back. And I'm talking to my mom. My mom didn't live here back then. She lived in Pennsylvania and called to tell me that a young girl that I grew up with as a child named Nancy had passed away. And she passed away from a disease that her mom was at her brother's house taking care of her brother with the same disease and wasn't able to be there when she passed away. And then I learned, because I know the story, is the mom, again, this lady I talked about this week, the mom, when we were kids, buried her husband. I want you to think about that poor mom for a moment. I got overwhelmed in an emotional state and just turned my camera on and talked to it. And I can tell you, you probably can go find it on my YouTube channel. All right. It's still there. It's still out there. Most viral video I ever did. It was shared everywhere. Not billions of people, but you know what I mean? In my world, I mean, a couple thousand people seen the video of me just being me. Because it was something I was going through. I lived it and I learned and I talked to people on an honest basis. And because of that, the video reached more people. For me, I've always had a weird sense of learning. I don't have a doctorate degree. I don't have a master's degree. I don't even have, all right, I don't even have an associate's degree, let alone a bachelor's. My education is I learned things by observing and watching and putting it into practice. My blog, my first blog, Rocker Life Coach, we started in 2010 and 2012. 2012, 2 years later, we finally hit peak that made us go, that's the path we need to go with the blog. And that's why I teach blogging now, is because I spent 2 years trying to figure out how to make a blog work. Watched courses, watched all this stuff, followed 50 million students, was a student on 50 million places. And it wasn't until I discovered my own system to figure it out. And that's why I teach it. And that blog post that went viral, or didn't go viral, but 7,700 people showed up to read it. The day before, 35 people showed up to read the blog post the day before. The next day, 7,700 people showed up. It was a blog post called Jukebox Hero. And it was my story of what I learned, all right, and how I needed to go out and create my own world from a song I heard in 1981 called Jukebox Hero. It was what I lived, learned, and shared that made the difference in the world. Use other systems and tweak them and adjust them to make them your own. Once you have used them to build success in your own life, share them. Jeff, some of you guys may know Jeff Herring. I don't know if you guys know Jeff Herring or not, but Jeff Herring, I'm friends with him on Facebook. When I started in 2010, I attended this webinar series that Jeff was speaking on. And I remember the talk, all right, that Jeff gave, all right. As a matter of fact, he was on someone's podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I commented in the comment section of the podcast saying, Jeff, you don't know who I am, but man, you gave me advice about writing articles, reading articles, reviewing them, and rewriting them as my own, and how to rewrite things as my own, using my lessons, all right, to teach the same lesson, using my experiences to teach the same lessons, to tweak it. And that path got me to learn how to copy, all right, write, produces my own by tweaking. And Jeff wrote in the comments, I remember you, and I tell everybody about you. I'm like, I didn't even know you knew who I was, And that's all I do. Again, I told you, I mean, if you follow everything I do and watch it, you will see most of the systems I use are, with the exception of the virtual summits, because the virtual summits my coach doesn't do. Except with the exception of that, a lot of the stuff I do is kind of the same system he does, tweaked a little bit to be my system with my content. Anyway, next one. Number 9, if you cannot create your own system, some of us we can't. Then become a good marketer of other systems. Become an affiliate in selling other systems. By the way, you can go to timgillette.com/affiliates. Affiliate or affiliates, try them both. I don't know which one. All right, put it in the comments if you figure out which one. You can sell my programs. You can sell tickets to this and get paid. You can make more money. If you sell tickets to the virtual summits, you can make more money on it than I do. Just saying. Sell tickets to my live event, I think it's like 25, 30%. Sell tickets to my programs. Like the Simple Easy branding, the Simple Easy Success program is $297. You can sell the tickets and get half that money. You don't have to have your own system. You can just become marketers. You can actually do a whole podcast, a whole blog talking about other systems, other people's systems, and how it can help you, and then just become an affiliate from it, and you can make money doing it, and you're helping people. Think about that. No matter what happens with your system, always keep working on it and make it work. No matter what happens. When you have an event, all right, where 60 people said they were going to be here and 6 show up, it's all right. Keep working it. When your coach has an event and you're one of the speakers and you're sick, you get on a plane, all right, you stay away from people, you don't shake hands, you do elbow bumps, you do whatever you can to keep your distance so as not to spread your sickness, but you get up on stage and you do the work and you keep working no matter what. In the words of Freddie Mercury, the show must go on. No matter what happens, go with it. Make it work. Successful people don't let what happens to them bother them. They keep going with what they're going to do. Oh, there it goes. Simple, easy content creation system. I'm going to give this to you, the Simple, Easy content creation system, and then I'm going to break down my whole repurpose system for you just before we go to lunch. You ready? This is easy. This is the way to do things. Number 1, get started. Get started. Just try something. Blog post, podcast, live stream, whatever it is, just do it. I dare you. Go do one and fail. Get started. Most people will never get started. They want to claim that they're a content creator. They want to claim that they're, but they never get started. Put something out there and it's okay, it's failed. My first book, you can't find my first book. I'm going to tell you that right now. You can't find it because it was such a flop and weird book, but I put it out. I put it out as an ebook because I had to. Wasn't even related to anything I do today or anything I was going to do. But I had an idea. I took an outline. I threw down a bunch of words, put it on paper, put it into an e-format, put it out on Amazon, ebooks. I think it was Amazon Kindle program, and sold it. I think I sold a half dozen copies or so. I don't know how many, but I did it. I'm like, okay, I can write a book. Done. Let me go write another one. I wrote my second book, which was You Can Always Get What You Want, was my second book. This was my first big publication book because I learned the process of doing it. And then I wrote my third book. And then my fourth. And then my fifth. And then I was in 5 different compilation books. 5-time Amazon #1 bestseller. And yet, in my house, I don't have a book of my own. I'm actually creating a whole new one with this whole Simple Easy Success system. I'm creating a whole new book with a whole new system. Because all of my books are all the old stuff. I got started, though. Didn't know what I was going to do, but I got started. Once you have a book up, you're going to get on stages more, I'll tell you that. Once you have a blog up, you'll be able to get on things, podcasts. I don't know anybody on my podcast that doesn't have a functioning website. I go check out your website before you get on the podcast, and I double check the night before. And if your website up, and I've actually taken people down off the list and taken their schedule down because the night before their website wasn't up. You can create a website and a blog on WordPress.com, and you can do it in 20 minutes. Get started. Number 2, create content. Create content. You got started, now just go create content. I started creating content on a daily basis in 2010, and it wasn't until 2012, 2 years and 3 weeks later, that I finally got traction and got 7,700 people to come look at my blog. 2 years, ladies and gentlemen, creating content till I found it. But I did it. I kept going. I kept going. I kept going. I kept going. Get started. Create content. Podcast. Do a podcast. Yeah, Tim, but only 2 people are watching the live stream. Who cares? You did it, didn't you? My first, very first podcast. 12 people watched it live. I think today, I don't even think 100 people have watched that episode to date or listened to it because it was audio only. I don't think 100 people have listened to that podcast episode to date. My very first blog post, posted on April 1st, 2010. All right. I don't think maybe 200 or 300 people have looked at it because I mentioned it a lot more. But really, it's not like a viral thing. But I created content. I did something. As you build your content, the next step is you go into and build community. Build a community. Do something for them. That's the next step. I have a community of podcast interviewees. I have a community, a mastermind. I have a community on Facebook group, bloggers, vloggers, and podcasters. Build community. See, everybody out there wants to come out there. They want to create content and sell. Doesn't work. You got to build community and fans. Basically, this step here, you got to build fans, then you got to get them to join a community. And then you go to the last step, monetize community. Monetize community is your last step in that. Here's what I'm going to give you is I'm going to teach you my repurpose your content system. All right now, I'm going to teach it all to you and give it all to you. You ready to write this down? Flip over the backside of one of your notes. All right. And write this down on the backside. And I'm going to teach it to you. This is what's known as the Oprah Winfrey System of Success. Oprah Winfrey System of Success. Oprah Winfrey built her entire world doing this. Other people's content, other people's communities, build my own community, make money. Oprah Winfrey would bring on, I'm going to look at the people's pictures who I see down here. She would bring on Dean Cain onto her show. Hey, Dean Cain, all right, tell us about the movie you got coming up. Well, Oprah, I'm going to be Superman in this TV show. You can come check me out. Dean Cain was so excited, he told everybody, hey, I'm going to be on Oprah Winfrey. So all of Dean's fans came and watched Oprah's show. Dean's information, Dean's audience. The only thing Oprah did was interview him. So then Dean Cain leaves and off comes in Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters. Ernie Hudson comes in from Ghostbusters and Oprah says, hey, Ernie, tell us about this new movie. You're going to be in Ghostbusters. Wow, that's cool. Ernie says, yep, I'm going to be in Ghostbusters. I'm in there. I'm one of the Ghostbusters. I have a good old time and everything. Ernie was so excited that he actually tells every one of his friends, I'm going to be on Oprah. And they all come watch. One by one, all right, basically she interviewed. And little by little, people went, okay, Oprah interviews cool people. So they went, I'm done watching Ernie, so let me join Oprah's community too. See, she did it back before we had a thing called the internet. Didn't have a YouTube. Didn't have blogs. All we had was a TV show. You can go and watch it live while it was recorded, or you can watch it on TV when it was being broadcast. It's the only ways you got it. You and I, have more tools to do it. So here's my system, the Oprah system. I invite LaWanna Parker to be on my podcast. I broadcast it using a tool called StreamYard. I broadcast it onto Facebook Live. I broadcast it onto my YouTube channel. I tell LaWanna all about this is where it's going to be broadcast out here on YouTube and here on Facebook. Please share out with your community. LaWanna Parker goes and shares it with her community. Hey, I'm going to be on the Tim Gillette Show. Come watch me live. All Tim does is interview LaWanna. LaWanna comes, LaWanna brings her audience. Next step, I take that recording the next day and I actually send an email to LaWanna and I say, hey, LaWanna, that interview we did yesterday, by the way, I put the video, it's up on YouTube and I actually highlighted it today. Go up and check it out. LaWanna goes over and looks at the video, all right, takes a look at the video and then she grabs it, she shares out with her audience and says, hey, that interview I was on yesterday, here it is on YouTube. You can go watch it again. Again, LaWanna's audience, not Tim's. 7 days later, I put it on a podcast. It comes up on Apple. I send an email to LaWanna. I say, hey, LaWanna, I took that interview that we did with the video last week. I took the audio out of it, made a podcast only. It's up on iTunes today. Go check it out. LaWanna writes her community and says, hey, come watch this podcast that I was on last week. Again, LaWanna's audience. 14 days later, I make a blog post about it. I put some note highlights, some things about LaWanna, the video from YouTube, the audio thing from Spotify, all right, and a place on a little bit of information about me, a little bit of information about LaWanna. And I sent an email to LaWanna. Hey, I made a blog post out of that interview we did 2 weeks ago. Here's the link in case you want to check it out. LaWanna writes her whole community and says, hey, here's a blog post that I'm featured in. Go check it out. I built the whole thing with LaWanna's audience the whole way. All I did was ask LaWanna some questions and record it. That is creating content, monetizing content by building a community, tapping into other people's communities. And it's all because all you did was reach out and say, hey, can I interview you? And using the right tools. You got to repurpose your content. You got to create content. You got to make it go out there and work. You can do that with just a live show by yourself if you want. We teach that in a Simple Easy branding program about how you can do just live streams all by yourself and actually go out and get numbers. That section, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the section on system. Let me actually stop sharing here and see who's in the room. Oh, it's Joey.
Yeah, I have a question.
What?
Do you have that in like a sequence in Kartra?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually, all my emails are put out in a sequence in Kartra. I developed it all. And actually, here's one of the things I do for people. And I think I'm going to hold on, I'm going to stop the recording.